of Barry's life. And thanks for being here today.
Thank you, Father, and good afternoon, everyone. As mentioned, my name is Tony Hirst. I'm Principal of Emmaus College. I first met Barry way back in 1988. And certainly an honour and a privilege to be able to say a few words about Barry at this incredibly sad time. And I do so on behalf of Barry's many friends and colleagues from Emmaus College, both past and present, and of course on behalf of thousands of students that Barry taught or he influenced during his time as a teacher. And it's very difficult in 5 minutes to do justice to the incredible influence that Barry had during his 40 years at Emmaus College, and prior to that, his time as a teacher at St Thomas More and also Salesian College. I wrote my own reflection about Barry the day I learnt the sad news of his passing last week, and that's available on the Emmaus Melbourne alumni website. It's well worth a read for perhaps a more detailed account of Barry's contribution to Emmaus. So today's going to be a bit of a snapshot and a little bit different to what was on there. Many of you would have read the thousands of tributes on various Facebook sites, and that certainly confirms the influence that Barry had on so many as a teacher. I've received emails from students as far back as the first class from St Thomas More, and Barry taught them in 1971 they were Form 4 Gold. Barry was very much a people's person. He was a great communicator and motivator. He also liked to have fun, especially on school camps. And I was fortunate enough to go on some of these camps with him, as did so many other staff from Emmaus over the years. And as young teachers, he always taught us so much. One of his most frequent tricks on camp was around students and passports. He seemed to do this very often and never seemed to get to the next year level. If we were crossing states, had an opinion, perhaps offered some advice, but only if required, or was just that trusting, listening ear. Barry always had the ability to make you feel that he genuinely cared about you. While many of our more recent students might not know Barry as well as some of our older students from previous years, they certainly knew he was somebody special to the school. Each year, while organising what is traditionally a very lively and loud Year 12 final assembly, I've asked the Year 12s, do you want Mr. Parnell for the Pizza Hut song? The students look at me as though I'm stupid for even asking such a question, with a resounding yes. While quirky, this tradition somehow commenced while Barry was Year 7 coordinator and became a whole school tradition after school assemblies when Barry was campus coordinator at Emmaus College. Everyone would wait for the then principal, Mr. Fabris, to depart the hall, and Barry would get up and do his thing. It was an enjoyable and secret way for us to finish the formalities of an assembly, and somehow that tradition remained for 25 years. Barry performed this even at the occasional board dinner, much to the bewilderment of some of those present. And on our 40th anniversary gala, on the 14th of March, very recently, Barry got up to perform it one last time. On that evening, Barry was in his element. Many former students, some now in their 50s, sought him out to say hello and recollect the good old days. Reading through the many tributes, the common theme is Barry, a great teacher, an engaging personality, somebody who was humorous, knowledgeable, memorable, a real storyteller, perhaps a bit of a prankster, and sometimes, while on the exterior, a little bit scary, underneath a heart of gold. Barry was Emmaus through and through. He was so generous with his time to the school right until the very end. As a school community, we'd certainly like to thank Trisha and the family for allowing Barry to go away.
57 years, so even further than the Emmaus connection. And in some ways, this is going to be a little bit like the road to Emmaus, how Barry got there. Going further back, we heard the mention of Aberfeldy and how the girls would be taken up there by Barry. Aberfeldy's up in the Gippsland gold rush country, and that nearly cost Barry his life when he was a young teenager, I believe. I'm not sure whether the girls are fully aware of that story. But one night, I believe it was a night time around the campfire, Barry decided he needed to go back to somewhere nearby, but he took the wrong track and fell down a mine shaft, about 3 metres or so, and landed very fortuitously on a beam that was there, prevented him falling to what would have probably been a certain death. Now, I tend to think, Father, that that was divine intervention, and the good Lord said, now, hang on, we need this fellow later on down the track in our schools, and so Barry survived. I knew him a lot better at Salesian College in Chadstone. 1963, we got to know Barry, not so much in school at that time, but at South Melbourne supporters. We'd be at South Melbourne home games. Barry would be draped usually with his duffel coat, very easily recognised, and a Beatles haircut, before the Beatles' time, I believe. Barry had it combed forward, most of the rockers of the time brushed it back. So Barry was a little bit eccentric in some ways like that. 1964, when we did Year 12 together, he and I were 2 of the 4 house captains. And Brother Peter Swain, the sports master, decided we've got to give these 4 house captains some tasks, so he decided we could run the entire school sports program, all the house competitions and the like, which we did, and it was good practice for later on in life becoming teachers. Barry's sports prowess, you couldn't say was at a high level. He became